In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to construct the beautiful spiral link earring that you see here. It's a combination of two links that you may have actually already done if you've been watching my videos. The spiral itself is the same spiral formation that I use in the Egyptian link. And the center part of this link is actually the figure 8 link. We first start with the figure 8 and then we end it with these spiral formations. And each individual link is attached to the previous link before you complete it. To build the earrings, you have to start with your first link, finish that first link to completion, then proceed to make the next link, and when you're halfway through the construction of the next link, you attach it to the previous link and then complete that, and so on. All of which I'll clearly demonstrate in the video. And then, of course, the final touch is to add the ear wire that I purchased at a craft store. To make the spiral link earring, we'll be using our usual tools. The side cutters, and make sure your side cutters are nice and sharp and relatively new because you're going to be working with the tip. Dangling pliers to do the basic forming of the spiral. Those pliers which will be used to construct the center part of the earrings. And of course, one other thing, a ruler to measure out your lengths of wire. To create the earrings that you see here, I'm going to use my standard nickel silver wire, 18 gauge nickel silver wire. Of course, the earrings can be made in either gold or silver wire, sterling silver wire, but I would recommend you work with a less expensive metal first, the nickel silver wire, and practice them. The difficulty level for making these earrings, I would say, is moderate. The shapes themselves are not that difficult, especially if you've already made the Egyptian link and the figure 8 link. But the trick with these earrings is to shape the individual link so it forms a nice symmetrical balance. You need to play with it a little. It doesn't happen right away, and this earring, as a result, may require some practice before you actually get it to look good. I myself have to practice this a number of times if I haven't done it in a while. So let's start. We will begin with a 6-inch length of wire, and I'll cut up enough wire for both pair of earrings. So since each earring consists of 1, 2, 3 links, we need 6 pieces of wire. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6. A wire. We have our pliers. and the ruler, which is still needed. And we're ready to go. So, follow me step by step. Hopefully at the end of the process we'll have a nice beautiful pair of earrings. I recommend you don't get discouraged with your first links if you seem to be running into difficulty. They do require practice, but I have no doubt that you'll get it in the end. It's worth the practice. They're beautiful. Before I begin making the actual link, I'd like to show you what an individual link looks like so you have a clear idea of where you're going with this. It's difficult to tell by looking at the finished pair of earrings. But there you see it in isolation. And the trick is to get the coil to line up like that with the center part that consists of a figure eight. See a nice spiral that works its way into a beautiful figure eight and then flares out to another spiral. And what I usually have to do is finesse the wire a bit at this stage, bend it down and play with it to achieve that nice balance. It doesn't necessarily come automatically. So, having said that, let's get to it. The construction of this beautiful pair of earrings. You saw me cut up my 6 pieces of wire, put that on the side now, and I will take one piece and using my ruler, find the middle of that piece of wire, which is right about there, at the 3-inch mark. To use my round nose pliers to begin the construction of this link. And what I'll do with these pliers is mark an area with my black felt tip pen. I want to indicate where the primary loop will be formed for the figure eight, so I could keep each individual link the same exact size. So right there, that's a nice diameter. Having marked my pliers, I'm going to position the wire on the ruler to determine the center of that wire, the 3-inch point. The wire is 6 inches long, so I want to determine the middle. Then I'll position the wire and grab it with my pliers at the mark that I made and bend it like so. See? See what I've done? Take that off for a minute. Now to complete, this is exactly what we do when we make the figure eight link. Now I'm going to position my pliers there. Is that clear? Push it up against the loop that I've just created. There we go. See how the loop looks? Now I'm going to put my pliers up against it. I usually look for the longer leg, and that happens to be the longer leg. I'll bend that longer leg up and around the pliers and let it flare out like you're seeing. So I've formed the central part of the link. What I'm holding in my hand represents that part of the link. The classic figure eight. Now what I need to do is trim the legs that are sticking out to 1.5 inches. I find 1.5 inches is the perfect length to give you a nicely proportioned spiral. Let's go back down to our ruler, and I'll put this center of the figure eight I'll put it on the 3-inch mark and then measure 1.5 inches from that. Right there. Cut off the excess. And the same thing, position it on a 3-inch mark, same thing for the other side. 4 inches, 4.5 inches, perfect. Cut off the excess. Now we have the figure 8 formed with 1.5 inches of excess wire on either side. The 1.5 inches of excess wire will be used to construct the spirals, resulting in this beautiful looking link. Now I think what I'm going to do before I actually demonstrate that is I'm going to prepare the rest of my wire. I'm going to take the remaining 5 pieces and bring them up to this level. So, turn off the camera for a moment and I'll do this busy work and I'll be right back. I'm busy making the figure 8 part of this link. But what I wanted to remind you is to make sure you begin at the 3-inch point. You want to find the middle of your 6-inch length of wire. Then position your pair of pliers at that 3-inch mark. I line it up on the mark that I made there, and then I create my figure 8. Nicely made. Also, keep in mind, when you make the figure 8, have the wire flare out at the angles you see here. Don't continue to wrap it around. I've seen students do that in class. For some reason, they'll continue to make a complete circle, and instead of the wire going like that, I have an idea. Let me make one incorrectly, and then we can compare it with the way the correct one looks, and this is the correct one, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. We'll take it, position it at the designated spot on our pair of pliers, and bend it. But now, often what students will do, for some reason, they'll come to me and they'll go, "Professor, what's wrong with that?" And what's wrong with it is they turned it too far. See, that's how it should look. Not like that. Pretty simple. So what do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. The first one we started out with, and we'll finish up the last one. Determine the 3-inch mark. Form the loop. Position our plier against it, the loop that we just created. Bend the wire up and around. Very good. Now, like we did here, we're going to trim the legs of the wire from the center of the figure 8 down to 1.5 inches. And then we're ready to go. So, I'll do that, and I'll be back in a minute. I've trimmed each leg of the link down to 1.5 inches. So we're ready to create the spirals on either side. And we no longer need our ruler, so we can get that out of the way. And we will no longer be using our round nose pliers, so we can also move those out of the way. The rest of the link will be formed with our chain link pliers. Before I actually start to complete this link by forming the spiral part, I want to point out the direction that the spiral needs to face. So if we look at the one I just completed, the leg of the wire that extends from its loop, for example here, the wire wraps up and around and shoots out. Well, the coil will actually face the opposite loop. So the leg begins here, and then we're going to ratchet it so the coil faces that loop there. Then the same thing with this. This twists up and around, like you see here, up and around. The spiral that we're going to form faces the opposite loop. Let's just do one. I think that'll clarify the issue completely. I'm holding my wire in my left hand. I have my chain link pliers. I'm going to grab the tip of the wire, and I'm going to begin the spiral formation. I bend it, I crimp it, flatten it down, and begin the ratcheting motion. See? Just like you did in the Egyptian link. Now, what I like to do at this stage of the game is I like to bend it down just a little bit more. Yeah, that's nice. And then ratchet it in a little tighter. So I have that nice relationship of the loop and the spiral. Now, I'll reverse it. Grab the wire at the very tip, which is sometimes tricky. Sometimes my pliers slip. You know, I haven't said that. I'll show you a little trick. The trick is this. Here's my silver pliers that I've probably used in some of the videos. I don't know if you can see this. I've notched the very tip. See, there we go. A little reflection. I notched the very tip. This way, when I'm doing a live demonstration, I could effortlessly grab my wire and bend it. Grab it again and bend it without it slipping. People in my workshops are amazed how I can grab the wire so easily. And I have to confess and tell them the truth, that it's not incredible physical skill. It's a notch at the top of the plier. I make the notch using a fine jewelry file. It doesn't damage the pliers because I'm not interfering with the face itself. It's just at the very tip, a little notch. It facilitates grabbing things. Beautiful. Anyway, back to it. At the tip, pressed it down, and now I'm going to continue to ratchet it. Good. Right about there. I can't get any closer than that.
I'll bend it down a little bit. See how I pull it down? Turn it in just a little bit more. That gives me a beautiful balance with the figure 8. And I like the way it falls in relationship to the top of that link. It is very symmetrical. Now to make a pair of earrings, this would be the first link in one part of the pair. And we need to make one more for the complete another one, and then I'll show you how to attach the additional links. So we have our wire cut to 1.5 inches. We have the figure 8 in the center. I'm going to take my pliers that have been notched, grab it firmly, bend the wire, and crimp it. And now we begin the ratcheting process. Nice. Now pull it down a little bit. Good. Reverse it. Grab it. Completed link. So now we have 2 links. And as you can see, there is no way of attaching this to that. Well, actually there is, but it could be messy. So I'd rather form the next link onto this. The result will be a pair of earrings. This is the first link in one part of the pair. This is the first link in the other part of the pair. How do we do it? Well, put these aside. Grab another piece of wire. What we will proceed to do is make 1/2 of the link. And we'll do that on all of them. And then thread this link into the one that we've just completed and proceed to make the other half. And that's it. So, here's what I mean. We take it, grab it with our pliers, create the nice crimped tip, then grab that little crimped loop that we made and begin to ratchet it. I'm going to pull it down and turn it in a little bit more. And stop there. I'm going to proceed now to do that with the remaining pieces of wire. Okay, I completed the halves of these links that will be attached to the first one that you saw me made. Eventually, the entire assembly will be attached to the ear wire to complete the earrings. The next step is to thread the unfinished link into the finished link, like so. And then complete forming the spiral by ratcheting the wire up. So, I'm going to take that end, hold it firmly, grip it with my flat nose pliers, and begin the ratcheting. I crimp the tip. And there we go. And like you saw me do on that side, I pull this out a little bit and continue to turn it in. Beautiful. That's nice. We have two attached. Let's get the third one on. Pull it out, work it in. Now I still have to make the other half, of course, but since we're at this level of development with this one, let's add the ear wire. I can't resist the temptation to complete it. Our ear wire, swing the loop to the side. Place our earring. Close the loop. There we have it. The first half of our pair of spiral link earrings. And there is no, I for some reason like threes, but you can continue and continue and continue. You can make this as long as you want. I'm going to finish up the other one now, and then we'll take a look at what we've done here. There we have the finished pair. I really like this design for earrings. I think it's very beautiful and elegant. And I particularly like the way ancient forms, you look at ancient Greek and Egyptian and Mesopotamian art, you're going to see the repeated use of the spiral. Something nice about designs that have been used for thousands of years by human beings continue to be used. And you can make it as long as you want. They look best when dangling. Unfortunately, I don't think the flat view on a tabletop does them justice. These are meant to be dangled. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.